Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 717th edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. I'll give you American perspective, our clubs, leagues, players, national team, and other fabulous moments. Get your daily reading from me and other writers over at Beyond the 90, at beyondthe90.substack.com, also beyondthe90.net. Of course, locally, New York soccer, New York sports over at baddogsports.com. Come on in, discuss amongst yourselves if you like. The chat room is open on YouTube, and as always, please subscribe here for your daily American soccer content. Chat room is ready to go. I'm ready to go, and it's time to talk about some American soccer. But before I do, as you know, I don't like to mix politics with sports. I believe we should separate what goes on the political field and keep it there. And of course, just talk about what goes on the sports field over here. Because I always believe that this is supposed to be a safe haven, a bastion of safeness, safe haven, to take a break from the political conversations, or if you will, the political discourse that is going on in the world. Now, obviously, I, just like all of you, do watch what happens on television. I do watch the news channels. I do take a look and I do keep tabs of what goes on outside of the sports world. But when I'm here doing this show, I stay away from it because that's not what this show is about. This show is about talking sports. Whether you like to talk politics with sports, that's up to you. But I keep this show sports driven. And with the current situation going on, let me just say this. I know that there have been reports and there have been rumors going on. The Iranian Soccer Federation, the Football Federation, is mulling the idea of not coming to the United States this summer and participate in the World Cup because of what's been going on over there. And all I want to say to the Iranian Football Federation is this. Please come. Please come and perform in this summer's World Cup. I think it would be great that all of your players, and you've qualified for many, many World Cups, I think it would be great if the Football Federation does come over, bring their national team, and play in this summer's World Cup. I think it would mean a lot to their people, not just in Iran, but there are people who are scattered all over the world. I think they should come. I really do. They should come and they should perform. Because honestly, it would be wonderful to have your players be here. And not just representing your country, but representing every single Iranian that lives around the world that wants to see you perform. And don't get me wrong, I would love to see you guys perform here too. I think it would be great to have the Iranian men's national team coming to our shores and performing in this World Cup. Well, I don't know where they're going to start in. Either they'll be in Mexico or in Canada or in the United States. But I know for a fact, I believe you'll be welcomed with open arms. And it would be a shame if the Iranian men's national team who qualified for the World Cup, sorry about that. I think it would be a shame if the Iranian men's national team did not come this summer. I know we're in March, and I know we're not complete yet. We have very soon coming up the March international windows for UEFA playoffs, for the intercontinental playoffs, for those remaining spots to fill out officially the 48-team roster. I think, honestly, come. Please come. I think it would do a world of good for all Iranians to see you perform at this World Cup. And we'll see how far you'll go. To me, I just think it's a positive thing for your country, and it's positive for everyone that will be coming to North America to be a part of this World Cup tournament. Like I said, I try to separate the political world from the sports world, but in this case, I'm making an exception because I believe that I know Iran qualified for the World Cup, and they should not give up their spot. If they do, maybe it goes to another Asian Confederation team. Not sure who that would be. I know Roger Bennett from Men in Blazers podcast has been saying something about that when he was on the Dan Le Batard show. But let me just say, I truly believe it is time for Iran to come here and perform. Do the job. Come over, do the job, and talk about and be about what it should always be about. Football, soccer. Let the world know that you're coming, and let the world know you want to play. I'm asking also the top officials of the Iranian Football Federation, please don't squander this opportunity. Come on over. Allow your players and allow your coaching staff to make the trip. Because this is what makes football great. This is what makes this sport great. To see all of them joining the rest of the world in a beautiful and wonderful soccer tournament, football tournament, the greatest footballing party that we have ever seen. And so all I can say is that I want you guys to be here. I want you guys to come here. I know it's difficult right now, and all I can say is this: do it. Fly over. Perform. Hell, you might make a run. You never know. We'll see what happens. But I think it would be a massive mistake if you guys don't come over and perform in this World Cup. I really do. I really believe it would be a very, very massive mistake for you guys to not come for this World Cup. I think it would be a massive mistake. So, like I said, come on over. Enjoy yourselves. And I'm rooting for you guys to make this decision permanent. Don't hang it into the Jeopardy department or in the think tank department. Come on over. Come on over and let's see what's going to happen. Because I'm telling you right now, this is a major moment for you guys. And it would be absolutely brilliant that you make this move and you perform on our shores or on Canadian shores or on Mexican shores. Let's go ahead and get this done, guys. Let's get this done. Well, again, see, that wasn't so hard. That was all right. But I know what you guys really want to know. And we will get into it with my first guest coming over. And he will be here soon. But as we're going to talk about the main crux of an issue that is what's going on in the lower divisions of American soccer, below Major League Soccer. USL is playing a dangerous game. A very, very dangerous game. Instead of taking care of the most necessary need to fix that CBA, now you've put yourselves in a hole. This upcoming weekend starts their new season in USL Championship. This whole situation is going to be a major, major thing. And I do wish US Soccer would come in and help with the mediation. I do wish US Soccer would come in and have this conversation with both sides, because I didn't want to get it this far. I did not want to see a strike, and I know the players have said we will strike if there's no deal being made. And, you know, they're going to counter with anything and everything that USL is saying to begin this championship season. And in all fairness to the higher-ups at USL, you shouldn't have tried to juggle three things at once, because that is a recipe for disaster. Juggling three things at once is just something you cannot afford when you have a CBA that needs to be renegotiated, reworked, and ratified. And basically, the players have you buy the soccer balls. They have you buy the soccer balls. You are too busy looking to challenge MLS when all you needed to do was get this thing done first, the most important thing done first. And now you've screwed it up. You've royally screwed it up. Yeah, there's been good faith negotiating, but honestly, what does it come to when you're not budging? What is this? What is this situation that you're doing? You thought it was an advantage? You thought, hey, we'll get this done, no problem, and everything will be right as rain? No. Nope. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is not right as rain. It is a giant mess. All I can tell you is this. It is something that I didn't expect to happen. It is something I wished it didn't happen. And right now, we're very close to the level of no return until we have common sense in the second division of American soccer. Until we get to that level, they're in trouble. United Soccer Leagues are in deep, deep trouble by not starting on time this season. But you never know. Maybe the 11th hour, something will get done. But until then, buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be a very bumpy ride. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about this segment sponsored is Dino Luzzi Energy Drink. When I need that extra kick to power through match analysis and late night transfer rumors, there's only one drink that delivers authentic Italian energy, and that's Dino Luzzi. Crafted in Italy with the same passion I bring to this show, because real energy comes from real ingredients, just like real soccer talk comes from real insiders. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, joining me to talk about everything and anything involving United Soccer League's championship season in a nutshell with the PA, my good friend and my colleague at Beyond the 90, Kartik Krishnaiyer. Kartik, welcome back. It's always great to have you back. Now we're getting to the nitty gritty. Now we're getting to the 11th hour very soon. We've got issues, and it's major issues. And right now, the question is there any sense that a strike might be averted in the 11th hour?
Well, first off, Daniel, great to be with you. Let me mention there is no the players have voted to authorize a strike. We do not know when that actual walkout would occur. I am not convinced it will happen this week. It could. It could happen Thursday. The first match is Lexington and Lou City on Friday night, or it could happen 3 weeks down the road. We know. You remember that the Major League Baseball players have started a season and struck in the middle of the season. The NFL players have started a season and struck a couple matches and a couple games into their season. There is this finite assumption among a lot of people: either the season starts or it doesn't. That's not necessarily the case. So I want to say that the players. The players are leaving the option of when to strike potentially on the table. So it's not necessarily coming this week. It might. The ball is entirely in the court of the USL if as to whether they want to avert a strike eventually. If they want to avert a work stoppage at some point this season, the ball is in their court. And we'll get into this. I mean, I know you have your views also about the structure that Alec Papadakis and family have been running at USL HQ, but that is, I think, the underlying issue here.
No, it is. It really is. This is the statement that USL Championship made when the Players Association made the news known that they are going to authorize a strike. Like you said, when it does happen, we'll find out. But this is what they said. We have been negotiating good faith with the USLPA for more than a year and remain committed to reaching a fair and sustainable collective bargaining agreement. During that time, we have not regularly, including through mediation, and have made meaningful progress on key issues identified by the players. The league and its clubs have proposed 12-month contracts, increased minimum compensation, health insurance for all players, and expanded professional standards covering housing, travel, team meals, medical staffing, training facilities, and overall player care. We have also proposed increased group licensing, compensation, and league level royalties as part of our broader economic package. Our latest proposal reflects significant increases in pay, benefits, and professional standards while preserving the stability and growth of the USL Championship. While the players have authorized a strike, we remain focused on continuing negotiations and finalizing a CBA that supports the players, strengthens the league's future, and ensures the game remains accessible to fans and communities across the country. While to me, that's wonderful, and I'm glad to see USL is recognizing this with the championship league. Still, though, it just feels like, I'm not saying it's hollow words because I don't think it is. My issue is, what do they do when they're trying to juggle three things into one package? And right now, the most important need is stalling at the moment.
Yeah. So let me first point out that Players Union has responded in great detail to that statement, which I did as well, because to the USL statement, because I thought there's some accuracies in there. I also thought there was a lot of laughable points in there. So
I'll put it up while you speak.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So let's start with that negotiating in good faith point, because this goes to something you and I have talked about, Daniel, privately as well as here. USL decided to launch a Division I league and talk about promotion and relegation before they had actually come up with any sort of structure, any sort of process, any sort of thing that could be used as a benchmark for negotiations. So they say they've been negotiating in good faith. I take them at their word for that. But the players have responded, as you say here, to that, saying, well, then you wouldn't have dropped the D1 Bob in the room. And I have reported on that previously. As you know, I think the last time I was on your show, I said part of the problem is they started this D1 talk, this challenging MLS talk. We're selling 70 expansion franchises, all this nonsense, because it really is nonsense. A lot of it is just total fluff. So if you're doing all of that, you're swimming in cash. Everybody on the planet wants some piece of USL. That's the way the Papadakises have represented it, right? If that's the case, and Paul McDonough has represented it, if that's the case, then why can't you meet basic minimum professional standards in terms of player welfare? You can't square that circle. So once you start talking about a D1 league and promotion and relegation and 70 expansion teams and all of this nonsense, it's not all nonsense. I shouldn't say all of this nonsense, but a lot of it is. A lot of it is complete fluff, complete garbage. Obviously, things are going to begin to blow up.
And that's what worries me, Kartik, the blowing up proportion, the blowing up, because I think we've said this many, many times, you and me. It's not that we don't want this to happen. We would like for this to happen. We would like to see promotion relegation happen. You know as well as I do, at this point in time, I don't think we have the structure right now to have it. And at the same time, soccer wars is still continuing within U.S. soccer. If you're not for MLS, you're for USL. If you're not for USL, you're for MLS. But what happens to the little teams in the room? And speaking about the little teams in the room,
it's become a finite choice between people who are aligning on one side or the other. And the problem is, look, there are people who have some very good ideas about football and how it should be structured, football, soccer, how it should be structured in this country. There are people that I've worked with in the past that inherently, because they don't like MLS, are taking USL at their word with everything. And I'm here to tell the audience tonight that if it was not for the structure of USL, which you, Daniel, have been very good at talking about now for more than 15 years. You've been talking about it since our old show on CSRN. That when it was Francisco Marcos running USL in those days. That basically the structure where the Papadakis family owns and Rob Hoskins, New Rock, own the league is the reason why we're in this position. The players feel like, and I think rightly so, if the structure doesn't change, then there is a cap on the growth potential of the league. And so that affects the players in terms of their wage, their opportunities, their professional opportunities, but it also, in the players' minds, affects the abilities of the clubs, the franchises in USL to grow. Now, the thing that's been most interesting about this whole situation for me, Daniel, and we can go through all of the permutations in these statements, but I am stunned that the clubs, who themselves are under the foot of League HQ, Alec Papadakis and Paul McDonough, have not made some sort of common cause with the players, or at least some have taken a more moderate course. The clubs are closing ranks with USL HQ. And that is not, in my opinion, in their economic interest. But what do I know, right? It's their money. I guess they can do what they want.
Yes. That's what it is, unfortunately. But like I was saying before, U.S. Soccer had their AGM meeting, and now they have the right to eliminate any league they feel or they deem is not doing their due diligence, paying players, paying the match officials, doing this, doing that, whatever's on. And NISA is now dead. NISA is dead, officially. All those clubs, and the only person who I feel sad for the clubs who are gone. I feel sad for the players who don't have a professional league to be a part of. But the one person I truly feel bad for is Peter Wilt. But that's where I'm scared with USL right now. That's why I keep saying to USL, and I keep writing, and that's why I'm concerned because later on I'm going to have a recorded interview with Alex Ashton from League One and Updater. You know Alex, he's with us at Beyond the 90 as well, for what happened with South Georgia Tormenta. Because unfortunately, what they always do is, we can't wait for this new club to join us. Who's the next club on the chopping block? That's my concern.
Right.
Who is the next club on the
I will tell you, in the
block?
case of Tormenta, in my opinion, I think they have a very good owner. He's invested a lot in local soccer. They brought a lot of players through their system. I don't blame him. I blame the structure again. I blame USL for what happened.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not blaming Tormenta's owner at all. He did everything he could. He did his best. And unfortunately, at the 11th hour, it wasn't that he failed. The people he was waiting for that payment failed him. And he had no choice but to say, I can't do it. I can't play this year.
So
and it's not his fault.
Yeah. And so this is the point. At that AGM, US Soccer honored Alec Papadakis. You talk about being tone deaf.
Mm-hmm.
This Tormenta situation had just gone on. We have this labor strife happening in the USL Championship. 90% of the players. Okay, so let's do some math here. 90% of the players, over 90% of the USL players are members of the union. There are some players who are not members of the union. Of the 90+% that are members of the union, 90+% of those voted to authorize a strike, which means at least like 87% of USL players are ready to walk. Yet US Soccer, in their infinite wisdom, picked this time of all to honor Alec Papadakis. Now, you can't make this stuff up. This is just a recurring story of soccer in this country and why we never get it right.
Nope. Exactly.
Maybe they could have honored Papadakis last year, or they could have honored him next year, and it wouldn't have looked quite as bad. But
exactly.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't make this stuff up.
And unfortunately, Daniel Papadakis is a big part of the issue here. Okay, we can go through these statements and talk about the individual things where management and player, the union, are far apart. Those are all important points to put in, but they're all caused by the structure.
Yeah.
And if you don't have structural change, I hate to tell all the people who've advocated for pro-rel and reform, which include me, and I'm 20 years deep in this thing. I got hired by the NASL Team Owners Association at the end of 2009. So, I mean, I've lived through these wars. I'm here to tell you the USL structure doesn't change. Pro-rel is not going to work.
Exactly.
I'm also here to tell you the USL structure doesn't change, that there is a limited growth for any club in the USL umbrella. That it could be a club as good as Sac Republic. It could be a club as well run as Lexington. But you're always going to be brought down because of the structure.
Exactly.
There's always going to be a cap on what you can do.
Exactly. And that's why I want USL, like I said, we want USL to be just as strong as Major League Soccer is. Look, like we said, I hate the single entity. I hate the GAMs. I hate the TAMs. I hate designated player. I hate discovery player. I hate all the stupid acronyms that helps out MLS surviving or whatever, just to keep costs down. But because I want them to become a big boy league soon. That's what I want. I want them to be like what the NFL is, what the Major League Baseball does, the NHL, the NBA, the Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, any professional sports league, whether it is soccer, football, or in North America. I want our leagues to be just like them. But the problem is the continued infighting continues on behind closed doors, whether it's at the AGM meetings, inside Soccer House, now down outside of Atlanta in the state of Georgia, or anywhere of the front offices, either in Manhattan or in Tampa. It's getting ridiculous. It's just getting ridiculous. And then what happens if USL crashes and burns financially? Who is left? MLS and MLS Next Pro. Then what will MLS do, Kartik? We'll take over. What's not a problem? We'll take over.
Take over US Soccer, and that will be that. and
Yeah.
NWSL will be an adjunct of theirs. Right. So you have to have competition in the marketplace. This is about making USL healthy. This is about making USL work. So those people, there are a few people who have criticized me personally who said, oh, well, we thought you didn't like MLS. Now you seem to be pro MLS. I'm not pro MLS. I'm saying USL has these very serious issues that the players experience and we can go through the issues that are keeping the sides apart now. Player welfare issues, player compensation issues, player licensing issues, the issues about training, the issues about things as basic as whether guaranteed contracts are actually guaranteed. Those sorts of things have to be resolved. It's not that I'm not saying that because I'm pro MLS. I'm saying that because I want USL to be healthy. I want there to be a healthy ecosystem for the sport in this country. I want there to be opportunities for our players. And now because these two entities, USL and MLS, are so busy trying to fight one another, and in the case of USL, fight their own players, we're in this very unhealthy state. We might be hosting a World Cup this summer, and they'll put lipstick on the pig, and everyone say, "Oh, look at how much soccer's grown in the U.S. Look at how great everything is." We're gonna hear all this, right? Well, it's not okay. And once FIFA walks away and all of that goes away, we're left holding the bag, dealing with these problems. And the players, the people, the actual product, the players are getting screwed in the process.
Exactly. And then what happens? I mean, look at these TV deals that USL has for ESPN, for CBS Sports. What happens then if that all falls apart and they decide, well, we've decided to close up shop, USL is officially done and over with? I mean, what do they have left? USL League Two. And what, they're going to turn them professionals, all those clubs that can't do that?
See, this is the thing that I think is people have to understand. The USL as an entity is profitable. The USL as an entity makes a lot of money. The USL clubs, because there's no revenue sharing, because there's very little, there's like a dividend that they give for the television, so they all get a piece of the CBS and ESPN deals. It amounts to being, I don't know, $100,000 something a year. That's it, or $150,000. But there's league fees that go the other way that more than offset that. That the clubs themselves are not healthy. Even the Sac Republics, even the Loose Cities, even the Tampa Bay Rowdies. These clubs are not making money. Now, we know this. You don't invest in professional soccer in the United States if you want to make money, and we also know. This is more kind of a labor of love, and there's people operate other businesses. But we are still dealing with a league in the USL Championship where all but a handful of clubs lose money, and they lose 7 figures or more. There is a club that lost 8 figures. I'm not going to mention which club it is, but there is a club that lost 8 figures 2 seasons ago. So that's over $10 million in a single season. Yeah. And yet the league itself is making money, which is my point. That I mean, they're rolling in it in Tampa. They're rolling in dough.
And now Scrooge McDuck takes a dip into the money bin. Yeah,
money into USL HQ in Tampa. So they're doing great. So then think about it this way, Daniel, and the viewers and listeners, think about it this way. It is no wonder that the people that work at USL HQ think all is so rosy and have a complete misunderstanding of what's going on to the players and what's, quite frankly, going on at the club ownership level, which is why I'm disappointed in a lot of the clubs in this. Yeah. They could have pushed for the change. They still could. We're at the 11th hour, right? The clock hasn't struck midnight yet. You keep saying 11th hour. You're right. So the clubs could come in and be the heroes here. The more responsible, high-level clubs, Sacramento, Rhode Island, Tampa Bay, San Antonio, Lou City, Lexington, those clubs, those 6 Indy, those 7 clubs could come in and say, okay, guys, let's call a truce here. Let's give the players some here, and then, hey, players, we're going to work this out in the next CBA. You have our word as club owners. But none of that has happened yet. I know there are clubs that think McDonough's negotiating strategy has been faulty and that the stuff he's saying publicly is wrong. I know their clubs, they talk to me privately, but no one's willing to step out and challenge McDonough and the Papadakis at this point within the league ownership room. And so that's why we're where we are.
Let me throw this at you. And this happened, I believe this happened maybe 10 years ago, I think, maybe a little longer than that. There was a time where the NFL and the NFL Players Association were going through CBA negotiations. And there was either talks of, I don't remember if it was the players that were threatening to strike or the owners were threatening to lock out.
Lockout, yeah.
Who was the owner who stepped up of the NFL side and said to everyone, let's not bicker, let's hammer out this deal. I'm coming across the border to the union members. This is what I want to do. You know who that was? Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots and the New England Revolution.
And benefactor of U.S. soccer at one time.
Exactly.
Sunil Gulati was an employee of Kraft Sports, by the way.
Exactly. Yep. Yes, he was. I remember. Yes, he was. So it took Robert Kraft to actually grab the olive branch, went to the other side to have a real conversation. They saved their season without a strike or a lockout. Where are those USL Championship owners that will do what Robert Kraft did in the NFL?
Okay, so they're not showing their head yet. But what unfortunately, what I was going to tell you is the same leaders of the NFL Players Union at that point had been in contact with the USLPA, coaching them through this, helping guide them through this. I'm telling you, this is something that surprised me that I didn't even realize until very recently. The USLPA has done its work. It has built a strong bridge with the NFL Players Association. It has built a strong bridge with Bob Foose, who we both know, and MLSPA. It has built a strong bridge with other parts of the AFL-CIO, to the point where the AFL-CIO president is now retweeting stuff coming from the USL Players Union, Players Association, which also indicates to me they will probably have a fairly robust strike fund if it comes to this. And the NFLPA specifically have talked to the USLPA about how that dispute in 2012 was handled from their end. Yes. So, if you want this to work, kind of like that did, and it's averted, a strike is averted, you need someone to play the Bob Kraft role.
Yes.
Who is that going to be? Is that going to be Brett Johnson in Rhode Island? Is that going to be Kevin Nagel in Sacramento? Is it going to be the president? It's not going to be Salvatore himself in Charleston, the owner, but could it be the president of Charleston Battery, Lee Cohen, who we know has some involvement in these conversations? Someone is going to have to step up. Now, another thing I neglected to mention, but I think everybody kind of knows it at this time, there are federal mediators involved. We've gotten to that stage, which is a tell as to where we are. So the mediators there will be a session tomorrow involving the mediators. But I think the mediators can only do so much. There has to be a mediator that comes from the USL ownership side. So who is that going to be?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I would love to talk to Devin Kerr about this. I would love to talk to Mike Watts about this. I'd like to talk to anybody that's got a good inside angle of who that person might be to actually grab the olive branch, cross over the line, and say, let's really talk. Let's hammer this out.
I'll tell you who it could have been. It could have been Steve Malik. But now he's dropped out of USL, and I think we know why. I think we're now seeing why. I know Steve was never that comfortable with USL. People like Rocco Camiso, or the late Rocco Camiso, God bless him. But like to say Malik destroyed the NASL, I don't buy into that. And I don't think I think once Malik got into USL, he saw you saw there was a reason why he wanted the NASL to succeed.
Yes.
We'll just put it that way. So
Yes.
it could have been him, but he's not at the table anymore.
No.
It could have been potentially the previous ownership group in I know baseball fans beat up on him, but it could have been Sternberg. I know for a fact from my own private conversation, Sternberg shared many of our critiques of USL.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The new Rowdies owners, new Rays owners probably just don't know. They probably don't know yet. So they're not going to be the ones. But if Sternberg if the Rays stadium situation, if those two hurricanes had never hit St. Pete, maybe Sternberg's the guy right now who's going to McDonough and saying, you know what, buddy, back off.
Yeah.
But he's not in the room either anymore.
No, he's not. But let me just say this. You see all the great work that Jake Edwards did as president of the United Soccer Leagues.
Yeah.
You saw the great work that he has done to bring in newer clubs, making everything, structurally sound. Do you think maybe the reason why he's not here anymore with the USL is that he can't handle the Papadakis now? Is that probably a reason?
I heard those rumors. It's very possible. I think there was some tension in the building. But I will say, I also think that this situation is where it is because he's not here. And maybe the distance between the parties, the proposals would be exactly the same, but I think the tone would be very different in the room and outside the room. Paul McDonough is like a bull in a china shop. Okay.
Yep.
Those of us who observed him in Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, all these places, Atlanta, all these places he's been have observed that. And the feedback I'm getting is that we're in the position we're in because of his force of personality, if you want to call it that. And
I'll call it that.
We might still have these gaps that need to be worked out, but I don't think there would be the conversation would be as poisoned, and that the players, it's not just the heads of the union, it's the players in general would not think that USL was acting in as much bad or questionable faith as they seem to think they're acting in if McDonough were Jake Edwards or someone with Jake Edwards' personality. So so that is a very live issue. And if I were the Papadakises, I would begin to kind of take some of that away from McDonough. Maybe Alec and Justin Papadakis themselves need to be the ones interfacing with the federal mediators. Maybe they're the ones who need to be leading these conversations. McDonough has led these conversations to this point, and you see where we are. So that's and then Jeremy Allenbaugh, who is the president of USL, who I happen to like. I happen to think is quite competent in his job, but he's
there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, right. And perhaps he's not doing a good job of it right now. So I think it would be very different maybe with other people in the room. And in terms of the players union, I have to tell you, the players union, if those people who are just looking at the union leadership side of this and saying, oh, well, they're really pushing hard, the union leadership, and Connor Tobin and Robbie Mertz and Duke Lacroix and these guys, they're pushing. Most of the players aren't there. I would tell you, I think the players I talk to, veteran players I talk to, maybe even ahead of the union on some things. I mean, they're so angry with the situation in the league, and there are guys who dropped down from USL hates when we use that term, but okay, have dropped down from MLS or have come over from MLS, who are seeing the structure and the working conditions, and they'll say, okay, the club I've signed with is okay, but this isn't professional. This isn't good for soccer in this country. So I'll tell you, the union has had a lot of success with guys who come down from MLS, and there are, lots of high-end players that, in fact, Mark Anthony Cage just signed in Sacramento last week. Yeah. Now he could be in World Cup. I know Jesse likes him. He could be playing for Canada this summer. I can imagine what he thinks. He was one of the leaders in the MLSPA. I can imagine what he thinks he's okay in Sacramento, but when they play their first game and they go to Las Vegas, let's say, I can imagine what he's going to think. Like, what is this?
Why am I playing in a former minor league baseball stadium?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's not going to get better unless USL has some self-awareness, and I think that's maybe where we have to leave it today. But that's
guess
the
so.
reality. We
And
want
don't
a settlement
forget,
in this 11th hour, but USL has to recognize they have all these flaws as a league, and the players' demands in any kind of professional setting are not unreasonable.
it's the same old story, Kartik. There's a hole in the wall. It's spouting water, and there's a crack in the dike.
Yeah.
And what happens with that boy who went to the wall to try and plug it up? He used his finger right in the wall to stop it. But he couldn't leave. If he left, it would just continue on. And so, to me, now, there's too many cracks in the wall. Yeah. There's leaks coming. Who is going to be there to repair these leaks? We don't know. You don't know. I don't know. We all don't know. And this is where I get annoyed and I get disappointed in people like who are running USL right now. It's basically go for broke. Oh, we got a bunch of clubs lined up in expansion money, a bunch of clubs lining up in the expansion process to come to our league. What happens if everything falls apart and those clubs that were ready to come for 2027, 2028, 2029, oh, we were supposed to come in 2026, but we're going to move to 2027.
Well, that happens with every club, it seems like, right? USL, I know of a club that told me USL, they knew they were starting a year later, and USL forced them to announce a date that was ahead of schedule, which is why locally in their own market, they told all the local media, hey, ignore the 2026 date. It's really 27, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Does it start with an F? In the middle is a T, and at the end is an L.
The club, but yeah.
You don't have to say it. I will. I don't care.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and so without structural change, I think we're not going to get the kind of settlement that's going to avert a work stoppage at some point.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
So if it's not this week, it'll be 4 weeks from now or 8 weeks from now. It'll happen sometime during the season. So I've actually told another group of people, I think that there is a 70-30 chance they start the season. I also think if the proposal doesn't move substantially, there's almost a 90% chance they will strike at some point. So it's bad.
No, it is. It's really bad. And even though they did gain, I think it's Weatherford Investments, I believe. That's now.
Yeah, that's Drew Weatherford, the former FSU quarterback, and Will Weatherford, who, when I worked in the state, one of the stints I worked in the state legislature, he was the Republican leader, or actually he was the House Speaker. He had been the Republican leader. So yeah, it's their company. They're kind of local to Tampa, so that's right. They're from Newport Richey, that area, which is just north of Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Right. But I think they are now giving a certain amount of financial assistance, I think, for USL right now.
Yeah, they're involved with IMG already. I mean, I knew that. I had talked to Speaker Weatherford. He was at the time about that way back when. So they've been involved with IMG. IMG has some involvement with USL. Not really quite. See, look, nothing in USL is terribly transparent. So I don't know what bell tower partners are doing, right? This is another aspect. Right. I think, it would be good to see the books at USL, but the Papadakis keep those kind of secret from us.
Now, I understand federal mediators are involved, like you said, but my real question is this: what does U.S. Soccer think about this? I mean, I know it's a, it's a rhetorical question. I know. But I mean, really, what do they really think about this entire situation? What makes them, shiver in their offices? Cindy Parlow-Cohn, JT Batson, any member of the board of directors of U.S. Soccer. What gives them nightmares. Because I'll tell you right now, MLS is not giving them nightmares. MLS is saying, oh, we're just waiting for the end to come and watch us grab all these clubs, and now we'll start a second division league called MLS 2. MLS Next Pro will be 3. We'll do a USL League 2. We'll have MLS League 3 or something, like whatever. You know, I mean, what we're going to have now? MLS Championship, MLS League 1, MLS League 2. Is that what we're going to go to next? Is that what we're waiting for?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, that's I don't think U.S. Soccer is weighing in with any. I don't think they. I don't think they have right now the interest in this. Now, why they haven't gotten involved is beyond me. But this is typical of them. I think Sunil. I've very, very critical of Sunil Gulati in the past, as you know, but I think he would have tried. He would have tried to do something here. They would have been having some conversations. Yeah, but
I've said this too. I've said this too, Kartik. Sunil Gulati, when he was president of U.S. Soccer, he knew what to do. Now, granted, he's had his faults and he's had his flaws. There's no denying he's had his flaws and faults. But he knew what to do, and he kept everyone at bay, and he got everyone to work together. Yes, it was begrudgingly, but he got everyone to listen when he spoke at the table. Everyone listened, and everything was copacetic until the disaster in Trinidad to not qualify for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. And when Sunil left, then the whole thing with Carlos Cordero, and then he was gone because of what he said about the women's team during negotiations with the CBA. And then
that was the actual reason. I don't know.
I know that. No, I know that. I know. But I'm just saying, you know, that took him out. Cindy Parlow Cone comes in. That gave Don basically, you know, here we go. I can take advantage of this.
I think you've hit on it. That's why Cordero, they didn't want Cordero. Cordero was a little more hostile to MLS than the other people in the picture, right? We'll just put it that way. So if you could knock him out, then you MLS would have control of the board again. So that's what happened, right? I mean, Cordero. I wasn't a Cordero fan when he was the vice chair, but then he turned out to be. I thought he was okay as president. He surprised me, but that's why they had to get rid of him, I guess.
That's why.
Yeah, no. So this is the situation, Dan. There's nothing to say about U.S. Soccer. They're not getting involved. They haven't said anything about Tormenta. They honored Alec Papadakis as soon as Tormenta was forced to withdraw from competition this season, and you know that's kind of where we're at. I'm anxious to hear what Alex has to say about the Tormenta situation, but that reflects to me on the entire USL structure and the entire structure of U.S. Soccer and the involvement of the U.S. Soccer Federation and their negligence in all of this. And I mean, I get it. They have some fear. The Papadakises and USL are very litigious. Maybe they don't want to get sued. They've been sued by stakeholders in the past, but they got to do what's best for the health of the game. And they
exactly.
I'll close this discussion on this point. U.S. Soccer has these pro league standards, Daniel. Yet they have nothing about player welfare standards. They have nothing about player participation standards. They have nothing about how a technical staff or a technical obviously they have a licensing course for coaches, but how technical staffs and the technical side of the sport should look. It's all about stadium size and net owner worth and how much a percentage of the company they can own, how much percentage of the team, and the metropolitan area size of a place where there's a club. It's all this nonsense. It's not actually about the actual sport, the standards.
Exactly. And that's the problem. Once again, the soccer wars will never die, Kartik, until someone actually stands up, throws the chair away. If they have to basically grab the table in front of them and flip it away from themselves to get their attention to the rest of the room, so be it, because it's never going to happen. We're always going to have these battle against each other. NPSL just lost a couple more clubs to USL League Two.
Yeah.
NPSL probably lost another club or two going to League for Clubs. A USL League One team is now dead. NISA dead. NASL officially dead.
Finally, yeah, right.
Finally. And everyone that is hurting are affected by all this robbery. Oh yeah, come to us. We're better than your old place. Yeah, we'll come over, sure. And then, I mean, I'm not saying no honor amongst thieves, but the point is, you can't trust anybody. You can't. You can't even trust anyone right now in the FO of U.S. Soccer. You can't.
No.
I mean, as much as I want to, you can't. There's too many issues. There's too many problems. There's too much conniving going on. When are we going to have everything uniform down the middle and everything makes sense from the top to the bottom? And no matter how many times you hear from other fans, supporters, oh, I support MLS because USL stinks. Oh, I support USL because MLS stinks. Oh, U.S. soccer stinks. I don't want to see this player in MLS. I want to see this player in Europe and all this and all that and all these divisions that are going on. And this is why we can't have anything nice for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because even if, let's just say for the hell of it, I know Eric Ronaldo said he believes that he said on his Unleashed show, and I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm not going after Eric. First of all, Eric, I'm not going after you. I'm just saying what you said, and that's it. He believes that this is the year that we are going to win the World Cup. That's what he said on one of his shows. I'm not going against him. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying that's what he said. But someone is going to come out of the blue and go after him for that. And let's just say for the hell of it, they do win the World Cup this year as the next home nation, the host nation to win the damn thing on their own soil. And what happens when the fighting goes on about, oh, well, that guy never played in MLS. We should celebrate him. This guy played in MLS. We should celebrate him. Not this guy, not Pulisic, not this guy, not that guy, whoever, because he went straight to Europe. How dare he play in MLS? He doesn't deserve the plaudits of being a World Cup champion. All of this baloney that we're fighting amongst ourselves and we're fighting against whoever we support. We're going to defend our leagues and then go against the other side. Yeah, look, I cover MLS. Yes, I started as an MLS fan because of the Metro Stars, now the New York Red Bulls. Did I ever go to any lower league games? Yes, I went to a lower league game. I went to see the New Jersey Imperials when they were then in the Premier Development League on the campus of Fairleigh Dickinson University, Teaneck Hackensack. I went to an Imperials game. It was my only one, but I went to it. And I liked it, and it was cool. I mean, I'll go see lower level soccer. Hell, I've done Open Cup games when it was FC Motown, when it was another club coming over facing FC Motown. I've seen several USL clubs when when MLS 2 teams were part of USL Championship. I went to see that because I want to support the game, not just my club that plays in the league that they're in. I'm trying to support the entire game. That's it.
Yeah.
Just like you. You supported Fort Lauderdale Strikers in the old NASL. When Miami FC came, then all of a sudden the Strikers came back. Miami FC was now a separate entity. You helped them out after the Strikers were no more. Speaking about the Strikers, I still have that shirt you got me, so I still have that shirt, so one day I'll wear it for you when we see each other again. But, I mean, look, I want to support the sport from top to bottom, like you.
Oh, sorry?
No, I'm telling you that I still have your Fort Lauderdale Strikers shirt that you gave me a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I want to support the sport in this country because it's fabulous. It's great. I'll go watch. I don't care where it is. If I have to go to Palm Beach, so be it. If I have to go to downtown Miami, so be it. If I have to go to Pembroke Pines, so be it. If I ride with you to Tampa, so be it. I ride with you to Naples, so be it. If I can fly to Atlanta, if I fly to Charlotte, if I fly to Dallas, Houston, Frisco, fly back up to New York, New Jersey, go check out an amateur game. Sure, why not? I'm into it. I'm into it. Because I want to support the sport. That's why this show is here. To talk about the game in this country. You and me. And all of us. And everyone that gets involved. Whoever invites to this show. Because it's important to discuss all these things. Right? Unmute.
Yeah, it is. It is important to discuss all those things.
It is. It really is. Well, anyway, Kartik, I know it's running late, but I appreciate your time as always coming on the show. Hopefully we'll get it. Hopefully, they'll start on time. Hopefully we'll have a USL championship season. And all I can say is that we cannot continue to have these shenanigans continue on inside U.S. soccer.
Yeah. So again, I think we. So just to reiterate before we call it a night, if they don't strike this week, does not mean they're not striking. I want to stress that because I think people have thought there's a finite choice to either strike before week 1 or they don't strike. As you know, Daniel, because you've been around American sports a lot longer than maybe some of these people are making that assumption. And as I said, the NFL Players Association is been on good terms with the USLPA. They're working with them. They know that there's a strategy where you can strike 2 weeks into a season or 4 weeks into a season. Or baseball, Donald Fair and baseball, midway through the season. So all those things are on the table. I'm telling you, just because if they play this week, that doesn't mean the whole thing is averted.
Yep, exactly. That's the issue we have. And hopefully it does get averted and we can just move forward. As always, Kartik, I appreciate your time.
Yep,
thank you very much for joining me tonight. And I'll talk to you again soon and we'll meet up soon. I know you're very busy. Yep. Not just with Beyond the 90, but everything for your newspaper over there was, I believe, the
Boca Raton. Yeah, well, their municipal elections in Boca are Tuesday, and so if this labor situation gets resolved sometime soon, and we get through that municipal election in Boca Raton, the mayor's election, and the city referendums, I'll have a lot more time. I'll have a lot more bandwidth. Hopefully,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you very much. Once again, Kartik Krishnaiyer from my colleague over at Beyond the 90. He is the owner of Beyond the 90. Moving forward here, of course, like I said, look, I want USL Championship to be strong. I want USL Championship to do well. League One, League Two, everything. Just juggling 3 things into one is a recipe for disaster, and we cannot have that here. Cannot. And speaking about another disaster, of course, he did not join me live tonight. We recorded the interview. This is once again Alex Ashton, League One updater, also part of Beyond the 90, as we talk about the end of South Georgia Tormenta for the 2026 season. Hopefully they will come back, but here is that interview right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein, as we now talk everything and anything USL League One with, of course, my guest tonight, Alex Ashton from League One Updater. As everyone already knows, South Georgia Tormenta is not going to play in the 2026 season. They cut it close down to the wire, and they just had to say, nope, we are done for this season, but we can hope that they will make a comeback. We'll have to wait and see. But once again, Alex, thank you for your time. I appreciate you, as always, covering League One in USL. When the news broke out how Tormenta decided to end their existence in League One just before, the season's about to kick off, your thoughts on the situation and what were you hearing from the circles of USL League One, whether it be from the supporters in South Georgia, Statesboro, other clubs in the league, other supporters in the league? What were your thoughts when you heard all of this?
I mean, I hate it. Tormenta, I've always kind of cheered for them because they're like that little club that could. They're in the smallest pro market in the country. 70,000 people in the Statesboro metro area. They've always treated me well. Darren Van Tassel, the owner, has always been a very friendly guy to me. His media office, everybody he's had in his front office has always been good to me. So I mean, it was a shock and a disappointment. And on top of that, it's, the players are all being screwed. I think that's the worst part about it, is that the players are now free agents. It was like 13 days before the season was supposed to start. It is going to be very difficult for these players to find new homes because most other rosters are already full.
Yeah, that's a shame for the whole situation. Yeah.
But yeah, going back about a week before the announcement, I had started hearing that they had not started practice, no training. Found out it was because the club had not been able to pay their workers' comp premium, which is apparently a pretty large premium when you're running a professional sports organization because of all the injuries that can happen. But because they hadn't paid it, they legally could not start practice. And then this ended up being confirmed by the USL Players Association once the news broke. And then, last weekend when the news was coming out, I was tracking down some sources. I got a hold of some people who were very close to the situation who confirmed it. And because of the way it was affecting the players, I made a decision to go ahead and break the news before the league and before the team, after having reached out to both the league and the team without any response.
Yeah. That's really amazing to hear this because, I don't like seeing any club, whether it be in a Major League Soccer, any of the leagues in USL, to just have a financial death and go away for good. I mean, we all know that list is very long of the amount of lower division clubs that have played either a short amount of time, a good long period of time, and then they just pick up and say, we're done. We'll see you next time, if there is a next time, and move on. Just really sad, really, really sad to hear this.
Yeah, it's the worst kind of news to learn and to report on, and as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've never reported on anybody's death and around what I've done, so like that would be worse. But this, it's the worst type of news to find out in this league.
It really is. Yeah, no, it really is. What have you heard from not just the supporters, from those that do go to these Tormenta matches, but from around the league, supporters, other clubs that have contacted you or you've contacted them? What have they said to you about this entire situation?
I mean, the Tormenta fans are obviously devastated. This is like, I mean, people are going to joke like, oh, their fan is hurt, but they were putting like 700 to 1,000 people in the stands a match last season. Obviously that's a not exactly a sustainable number. They could have been doing a lot better, but they did have fans. They did have people who were very dedicated on both watching and reporting on this team. And being in a small market, I think it makes it even worse because they're that much closer to everybody. Like you get to know, everybody who goes to these games, the owners, the players, the coaches. So to not have that all of a sudden, like 12, 13 days before the season started, it's devastating for the fans. As far as other teams, we started hearing that there might have been a player draft. I think that was proposed by the USL Players Association. The league was on board, but unfortunately, the owners of the other teams made a collective business decision that said that they didn't want to do that because it would have involved picking up the contracts that were already signed by the players with Tormenta. The owners decided that it wasn't really their problem and they wanted to start fresh with negotiations of anybody they would pick up.
Mm-hmm. So Not even on loan, not even a possible loan with some of these players, I guess.
No,
Was that an option?
they're all free agents right now.
They're all free
Looking
agents right now.
for new contracts around the league.
Yeah.
The one positive thing that I've been told from several agents who represent these players is that I guess the way that the league is structured, there's something about like the league, I guess, technically owns the contract or the process. I'm not really sure which one, but any international players who had already received their visa to play for Tormenta apparently gets to keep that. So that will go with them to wherever they go within the United States, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've also heard, but been unable to like 100% confirm it, that the players will have what was it? My mind's escaping me right now.
Okay.
There was some other benefit the players were going to get to keep. International players. If an international player from Tormenta gets signed elsewhere in the league, they don't count against the team's international allocation.
Oh, well, that's a great thing. That's absolutely a fantastic thing, and hopefully that's the case. Is there any international players that are currently playing for their national team, whether it be in CONCACAF or UEFA, that right now possibly that their spots in jeopardy? Because we all know the World Cup is coming, and we all know a player like Margarita. I think he plays either for Suriname or for Curacao, and he's got a club in Phoenix, even though it's championship. But any international national team players for Tormenta or no?
No, not that I'm going over their list again, and I don't see any international players on this team.
Mm-hmm. And what was the main reason for all of this to happen? This whirlwind of nerves, confusion, and worry
With Tormenta?
with Tormenta, yes.
I mean, they never started practice, and because they didn't have the insurance to legally start training.
Okay.
That's the gist of it.
Wow.
So what I've also been told about Tormenta, and this was told to me by several owners, executives, coaches around the league, who all have like a very high opinion of the Tormenta ownership. So what I've gathered and what I do kind of believe, having interacted with him in the past, is that I really do think that his heart was in the right place, that he in good faith believed that the funding was coming through, and then it just didn't.
Wow.
Just they were down to 0 day, and it didn't come through, and that was last Friday. But I think in good faith he thought it was coming through, and I think there's a higher chance that Tormenta will be back next season than other teams that have dropped down or dropped out, because of I think there is money there. It just wasn't there right now. That's what I've gathered.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great thing to hear, and I really do hope they do come back, because I mean, you think maybe to yourself, drop down to USL League 2, maybe save themselves. But still, though, to see that they're still staying with their youth programs, and they're still keeping the group, the coaches for those youth programs to continue on with that, I think that's wonderful to hear. And from what you've just said, I'm hoping they do come back for 2027. I would love to see them come back, because they don't really deserve to have this type of situation happen to them. And unfortunately, as you said, the funding and the finances of that funding just did not come in time to save the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little bit awkward if they do end up coming back, because they'll now have this this red flag, this reputation. So I do think that there are far more professional level players than there are spots. So I don't think they'll have problems signing players, because I think that players, even the ones who signed this year, like they all, anybody who signs with Tormenta, you have to know the risks, given what we've heard over the last few years. And they put together a pretty talented squad this year, regardless of that. So, I think that because of how many professional level players there are out there, like they're not going to have problem signing players. They might not sign the top players. They might, they're not going to get the highest in demand, but did they ever really? And, I don't think they did before anyway. So.
Yeah, that's very true. If I can ask you this, obviously the U.S. Open Cup first round proper will be coming up very soon, March 17th through the 19th. And on that Tuesday, Tormenta was supposed to host FC America CFL Spurs, who, of course, qualified through the amateur qualification process. Now, we all know that the new expansion sides are not going into the Open Cup this year.
Yes.
So my question is this now. Have you heard that maybe Sarasota Paradise may take Tormenta's spot, or will will U.S. Soccer and the Open Cup Committee just allow a bye for CFL Spurs to just move on to the second round?
Yeah, I've heard it's a forfeit.
It's a forfeit? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really a shame.
It would be nice to have Sarasota come in after, they played pretty well last year, but I know that their ownership was is very disappointed when they found out the news that Sarasota was not going to be invited this year. But I don't think that's going to happen at this point.
Yep. No, absolutely. So
and I think that I think that'll actually give a leg up to the CFL Spurs moving on. Like that puts them in a pretty good position to win that $50,000 for the amateur team that goes the farthest.
Oh no, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's that's an advantage for them. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. But still, though, I mean, I would have loved to have seen, if possible, Sarasota Paradise being given an invitation, say, okay, you take over Tormenta's spot for this season in the Open Cup, and then we'll see what you can do against CFL Spurs. But hey, look, it's a forfeit, and they are. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the U.S. Open Cup review show. No, not really, but it's a shame it'll be a forfeit. So that's going to be one match less on the docket for round one action, which is really a shame. But hey, look, that's what it is, unfortunately, for 2026, and we'll see what happens moving on forward. If they do come back for 2027 Tormenta, and let's just say, I know, there's maybe a couple of red flags here and there, but do you think that the league would welcome them back with open arms?
Yeah, I don't know, because this is such an unprecedented situation. The league, remember when NCFC pulled this back in October, said that they were leaving and they were going to come back in 2028 or whatever. And the league put out a statement that said that they would review it when it came up. They didn't say that for Tormenta, but I assume it's going to be the same thing where they would have to undergo some sort of probably stringent review to make sure that they can do this. Mm-hmm. But I think the league would bring them back.
Yeah, I mean, why not? To me, more than I do, obviously, because to me, from the outside looking in, to me, I think they've been a model citizen in USL League One. They've done great things within the community, and I don't think there's any red flags between ownership of Tormenta and the league office. So I would like to think maybe, possibly, all's forgiven. Come back in. We know you're not one of those, and come on over.
Yeah, if the financial situation checks out next year, then sure, why not?
Yeah, exactly. So right now we have what, 16 clubs, I think, 16, 17 clubs right now since Tormenta's deletion for this season?
20, 19? I don't know. It's changed so much since this whole off season.
Yeah.
With Cascades and Fort Lauderdale dropping out. So we will have 1, 2, 4, 8, 12, 16, 17. 17.
Yep. So from 18 to 17. Mm-hmm. And even though, as we all already said, Sporting Cascadia will be, and Fort Lauderdale United's men's team will be in USL League One for 2027. Which of the other expansion teams are going to be coming into next season?
There's really nothing that I know of on the horizon for next year besides maybe Rodeo, which is the offshoot. Oh, and Rodeo and Port St. Lucie.
Right, Port St. Lucie
are set to join with Fort Lauderdale and Sporting Cascades officially at this time. I thought possibly Winter Garden, Florida might also join, but it sounds like they're having some issues coming up with a place to play. So that doesn't sound like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
At least next year. But yeah, Fort Lauderdale, Port St. Lucie, Rodeo SC, and Sporting Cascades. And Rodeo SC, by the way, is part of the Texoma ownership group. So in Texoma, Texoma was in the league last year. As soon as the season ended, they said they were going to USL 2. Midway through the season, they had some issues with ownership where one of them pulled out unexpectedly. And then I think that's what led to them dropping down. And then the ownership group founded this new club closer to the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area called Rodeo Soccer Club.
Right.
That is set to join next year and I think they're set to release their branding and something or pressed or something this week. So they're moving right along.
No, listen, look, I mean, welcome Rodeo. Sad for Texoma for going back down to USL League 2. I mean, I guess was there a that owner who left Texoma, was he having a fight with the other owner? Or
there nothing ever became public of it?
Okay, nothing ever became public of it. All right, well, look, hey, there it is. So look, we'll see what Rodeo will do, and hopefully they'll do well in 2026 now, or 2027. 2027. So let's see what Rodeo can do, and
see if Tormenta comes back to join these 5.
Yeah, why not? Hopefully. Let's hope and see that happens too. Other than that, look, we all hope, the promotion relegation situation does come to fruition and it does help out with everyone else. But, do you have some concerns that, we've seen how many clubs come and go in USL, and, the financial issues are always going to be there as a sign of worry where it may fall apart. Do you have concerns now that maybe promotion relegation, we're not there yet in USL, and maybe they should just dial it back and not go that far?
I mean, we're probably not quite there, but I do worry that it is going to lead to a club or two more getting weeded out. I don't have any in mind. I don't have any insight on the situations for the rest of the remaining clubs, but it does concern me, especially with Tormenta and Texoma, that it might weed out another club or two. But I guess that's why expansion exists, to keep throwing in clubs, keep throwing $5 million into the USL coffers, and keep moving forward.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, like I said, hopefully Tormenta does come back for 2027. Hopefully USL will just have to, forego that entire situation. Say, okay, look, if everything checks out fine, off you go. So we'll see what happens if they come back for 2027. But for right now, it's a shame they won't play this season, and we'll just have to move on. And hopefully everything will be right as rain if they do come back for next season, or maybe in 2028. We'll have to find out when it does happen. But Alex, as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and can't wait to have you back on for more League One news out of USL.
Yep. Thank you for having me. You are officially the last podcast I'm talking about Tormenta with.
So you're telling me it's USL show. So you're telling me that those guys at the USL show, they get the first dibs?
Well, I'm on that show. I mean, I'm one of the co-hosts.
Oh, never mind. What am I talking about?
But yeah, we're tomorrow. We're kicking into a few more. I'm going to be joining a bunch of League One content creators to talk about each of our respective teams that we cover. I'm going to be doing from the Richmond perspective. And then on Tuesday night, we have the USL show where we're going to be talking about USL League One and previewing the season.
All right. Alex Ashton, once again from League One Updater. Thank you again, as always, and hope to have you back on again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Alex Ashton from League One Updater, USL show, and of course, Beyond the 90, joining me to talk about South Georgia Tormenta and the unfortunate disappearance for them, because they're now out due to financial issues. So that's really a terrible thing. I hate seeing that. I hate seeing good clubs losing their status playing in professional soccer or amateur soccer, whatever you want to call it. I just don't like it. I just don't like it at all. So, but as we keep on moving here on the Boise Fire American Soccer Show, it's time to review the Red Bull New York. Red Bull New York, as they won their second straight match, taking on the New England Revolution. And that, my friends, was a 1-0 victory against the Revs. Unbelievable game. Julian Hall does it again, scores his third goal in 2 consecutive games. And it's not just he's scoring, but you're seeing the injection of youthful players from within the Red Bull Academy, getting the graduation from the 2 team to the first team. But Julian Hall has already been here. And him, Audrey Metmeti, are just combining so well. Such an excellent job from both guys. Not only Julian Hall for scoring the goals, but Audrey Metmeti for being at the right place at the right time in the correct position to give Julian Hall those opportunities to score the goals. It's just amazing so far. And it's only been 2 games. And I'm trying to keep myself grounded on this, because even though it's only been 2 games, and they're 2-0 right now in the Eastern Conference, this club is off to an amazing start. Cade Cowell doing excellent work down the right side. Jorge Ruvalcaba going down the left side. You see them doing very well with the attack. They're combining. They're doing amazing things. And at this point in time, the only issue is they need to score more than a goal, need to score more than 2 goals. They really need to put the ball into the back of the net a lot more. And even though it's only been 2 games right now, and I don't think this is the finished product for Red Bull New York, without a doubt, you can see the improvement of this club. How they're pressing, how they're attacking, how they're demanding on the ball. They're frustrating their opponents. How many times did you see the New England Revolution get frustrated when the Red Bulls had the ball? More than once. I at least counted 4, 5 times in the match that Revolution players were frustrated, grabbing Red Bull players, throwing them down, getting yellow cards, getting a foul called against them. It was just unbelievable. They have looked very strong. They have looked amazing. And to see the Red Bulls going out there and performing it the way they are is just unbelievable, and it's tremendous. And right now, Michael Bradley, at this point in time, I think he would say to you, we're not the finished product. We're not the finished product. We're not the finished product. It's not complete. But so far, we're doing the right things. We're doing what we're supposed to do. The game plan is there. And look, I'll be honest. It's not that I had any trepidations about Michael Bradley being the Red Bulls head coach in MLS after what he did in a short span at MLS Next Pro for the 2 team. But I'll be fair and I'll be honest to say I thought maybe he's not ready for this position. He's not ready for this next step. But if this is what we're expecting from him, and this is the magic, that he's going to create. And the thing is, we still need to wait and see when they'll get on a losing streak, because when the losing streak comes, that's when you need to see Michael Bradley and this club at their best to get a victory. Until then, everything is great. It's good at this point in time. It's only been 2. Montreal is not going to be, I don't think Montreal will be much of a test. I think Montreal will be a tough customer, but not to the level of where we think they are. But it's going to be those derbies against NYCFC, against DC United, against the Philadelphia Union. I know they're 0-2 right now, but it's still a rivalry game. And plus, we need to see what they do at New England, at Philadelphia, at at DC, at NYCFC. We also have to see what they do against Miami, because they are the defending MLS Cup champions. And even though they're 1-1 at this point in time, and they still have to play LAFC this season, they have to play San Diego FC this season, St. Louis City SC. Some of these teams in the Western Conference are going to be difficult to play against as well. We need to see where they are when we get to that point in the schedule. But for now, I love what I'm seeing. I think the back line has been holding up pretty good. They should have no goals in 2 matches. Unfortunately, that one did go in towards the back end of second half stoppage time in Orlando. But if they continue to play like this and they improve along the way with Emil Forsberg in the middle, or actually on the left side, Adri Mehmeti in the middle, Don Core on the right, this can be something special. But once again, we cannot go overboard just yet. Red Bull supporters, you cannot go overboard just yet. It's only been 2. We're in March. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. Let's see him build this thing up. And finally, when we're at a position where we can say this is really the finished product, go crazy. But for now, it's 2-0. You cannot go nuts. Wait for that first loss of the season. Until that comes, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this will do it for tonight's show. I want to thank my guests tonight. I want to thank Kartik Krishnaiyer, my colleague and owner of Beyond the 90. Also, want to thank Alex Ashton from League One Updater, also from Beyond the 90 and the USL show. Join me next week for another Feuerstein American Soccer show. Talk with you about American soccer. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. As always, as I always say to you, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care so long and have a good night. Bye-bye for now, everybody. Take care.